We're webcasting live from the Bend Elks Lodge. Thank you again to the club here for allowing us to use their facility as we're remembering the 70th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor and using this today to honor World War II veterans as well. We have another World War II veteran here, George Larson. Now, George Larson was the captain of PT boat PT-189.
Right.
George, glad to have you with us today. Thanks for
you.
being with us today as we're honoring all who served and leaving no one behind. So, PT boat duty, patrol torpedo boat. What exactly was a patrol torpedo boat? We know a lot about PT boats because we heard about John F. Kennedy and PT-109. Well, you were the captain of PT-189. Did you ever meet John F. Kennedy?
I met him one time.
Go ahead and hold that a little bit closer. There you go.
I met him one time. He was supposed to be an instructor back in Melville, our training station, and he was supposed to have been an instructor, but he never showed up to instruct.
Oh, okay. Wonder where he was.
He was out chasing.
Okay. He had a bit of a reputation for that.
That's right.
So PT boats, what exactly did the PT boats do?
Well, they ran all kinds of errands, but we were the most weaponized vessel in the Navy for its size and weight.
Okay.
We had all kinds of guns and cannon on it.
Okay. Really fast boat, wasn't it?
We were about the same as a Japanese destroyer.
About 40 knots.
42, 43 knots, yes.
We view PT boat duty as it was pretty glamorous duty. Was it as glamorous as the movies and all of the image of it? Or was it hard work?
Well, there were some times it was glamorous. Matter of fact, we were known as the Glamour Fleet sometimes.
Yeah.
That was just because we were so free, and nobody was stuck in one place. That's for sure.
Okay. They're pretty maneuverable, so they had low draft so they could get into shallow areas.
Yes, but we lost most of the boats lost in the war were boats that we lost on the reefs.
Really, that struck a
Yes.
reef.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of armor on the PT boat, was there?
No, practically none.
So it was made of plywood.
No,
not?
we had
Okay.
plywood topside,
Okay.
but the hull itself was made of 2 layers of mahogany wood, and they're laid 45 degrees to the keel. So one layer was going one way, and the other was going across it.
Okay. So were you in the Navy when Pearl Harbor was attacked?
No, I joined shortly thereafter.
Because of the attack on Pearl Harbor?
Yes.
What was this is a question we're asking everybody today because today is the 70th anniversary of the attack on Pearl
Yes.
Harbor. What went through your mind and what was the mood in the country on that day after you learned of the attack?
Nobody was even acquainted where Pearl Harbor was. I had to ask myself.
Where is that?
And the Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor. Where is it is right. But I had close contact with the Japanese at that time in the markets. I worked for a newspaper, and I had to pick up the copy from the Japanese who ran most all the markets. Had Japanese running their fruits and vegetables department.
Where was this at?
This is down in Southern California,
Okay.
and Los Angeles area.
Okay.
And the morning, I got to know a number of them pretty well.
Yeah.
And the morning of the 8th, the next day, they were just devastated. They were just devastated there.
That was my next question is how did they react? How did people react to them?
They were just sick. They could hardly work. And it wasn't 3 or 4 days and they were gone.
That's when
That's when they swept them up into groups and then sent them off to
internment camps.
To the internment camps. Yes,
because it was the feeling in the country that, was it because of the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor? Was that the nation felt that they couldn't trust the Japanese?
No, that is still a debatable thing, but the way I feel, having that close contact with the Japanese,
right,
led me to be very sympathetic with them, because they were Americans,
right,
but they were Japanese, and they had to be whisked off. They had to be for their own protection. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, no, that's because you couldn't trust them."
Yeah.
I trust American Japanese very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because and in a lot of ways, in fact, we're still making reparations for that, in that they were putting these internment camps in the area that I'm from, which is southwest Idaho, an area around Ontario, Oregon. A lot of Japanese influence there, and the Japanese are very, very loyal, trustworthy people. And it was a shame that happened, but the hysteria of the time and the fear of the time was probably led to that decision.
Yes. Never happened before, and it was a peculiar situation that was a problem because we didn't know.
Okay, so go back to attack on Pearl Harbor, and you'd heard about this. So then a lot of people, from what I understand, the next day people were going to the enlistment office saying, I want to sign up and fight for my country. This isn't right, and I want to stand up and help defend this country. Was that the mindset you had?
Yes. This is a peculiar thing. I went down in January, and I was sworn in at the recruiters, and they said, "You're in the Navy owns you now, so don't go away.
You're in the Navy now.
We'll call you when we have a place for you." So I get a call. All right, I'm to be sworn in. I'm already been sworn, but you're going to be sworn in the most in a group that is the largest group sworn in by the Navy at one time.
Okay.
And it was on the steps of the Los Angeles City Hall. And the next day there was a great big picture of probably 300 or so guys signed up for the Navy and headed for San Diego just that day. And
what day was that? That was
the
a few
guy
days
that
after
swore
Pearl.
me in again was Gene Tunney. Now, if you don't know who Gene Tunney was, he was the guy that knocked out Jack Dempsey.
Yeah.
And he was, boy, he had a paw on him, I'll tell you. When I shook hands, I thought, my word, this is a big Navy.
Guy's got a meat hook on him.
Yeah, he had a meat hook.
So what does your jacket say? It says the Nightmare, Navy PT 189, the Nightmare. What does that mean?
Well, that was the name of the boat.
Oh, so PT boat had a name.
Yes.
Okay. Why did you call it the Nightmare? For the enemy?
Oh, I don't know who gave it that name.
Yeah.
That's what the name was when I went aboard.
Oh, I see.
But in many cases, they did change the name as a new skipper had come. But I had no reason to. So it sounded like a pretty good name to me.
So when you're in the Navy now, so do they come to you and say, well, what do you think about PT boat duty? Or do they take a look at your qualifications and then decide where you go, or they just have slots to fill and they start filling them?
I went in as a third-class yeoman.
Okay.
So I didn't have any stripes on me then. But I wanted to be an officer in the worst way.
Okay.
And so I'd been to college, and I was short about 4 units.
Okay.
So I was lucky enough to be stationed at San Francisco, and I went to the University of San Francisco at night,
Okay.
And I got my credits there, more than enough, and I got the recommendation of my commanding officer that that he wanted me as an officer. But so okay.
So now you're an officer.
Now I'm an officer. Now what do you want to do as an officer?
Oh, did they give you a choice?
Yeah. Well, they want to know what you want.
Okay.
And so I told them I want PT boat duty.
Why do you want PT boat duty?
It was just my sort of thing as well.
Okay.
And they said, well, there's no openings for PT boats.
Okay.
So here's what's open, and underwater demolition and stuff. And so they asked me, what do you want? I said, PT boat duty. So, but we're not taking. So it went on.
Yeah.
I got my orders were PT boat duty. So,
okay.
But I'd worked hard for 2 years to get there.
Okay.
Before I got to go to.
So PT boat duty now the PT boats were in the Pacific, not in the Atlantic.
No, they're
theater.
both.
They were in both theaters?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The PT boats, did they mainly close to island? They didn't do a lot of way out in the ocean, did they? Because they're small range.
No. When they get you established, you had either a tender, a mother ship,
sure,
and for supplies, naturally,
right,
and or ashore.
Okay.
And you had to have that fuel and go big amounts and everything.
Oh yeah.
So, and then you operated from these places. Then things would change, you'd advance, and you'd get your tender or a deal set up further out.
Uh-huh. So PT boat, what was a typical PT boat mission? Was it patrol? Did you search out the enemy?
Late in the war, like when I was in there, we ran out of large targets to use the torpedoes. So ours was barge duty. The Japanese were trapped in all the different islands. They had no way to move their stuff, get stuff to them, so it had to be by barges, and they could only move those at night, and that's what we'd shoot up mainly, barges and luggers and small craft, and some of them and get themselves all armed up, and we'd get a surprise.
So the PT boat was, now the little insignia of the PT boat was a torpedo with a mosquito on it.
Yeah, a mosquito fleet.
Mosquito fleet. So it's kind of a little animal with a big bite. And they were pretty heavily gunned, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you'd like to know what there was, I can.
Sure, yeah,
I can remember. We had a 40 millimeter cannon on the stern,
okay,
which required 4 men to operate that.
Really?
We had a pointer and a trainer. Now those are the guys that have the handles and shoot the cannon.
Uh-huh.
And then you had 2 loaders.
Okay.
One to take the shells out of the rack.
Okay.
And then the other one to jam them down in the cannon.
Okay.
And it worked automatic, 120 shots a minute. And then we had up
That's
on
pretty
the bow.
rapid fire.
Yeah. I had a 37 millimeter, which is a smaller cannon, on the bow, but that was already loaded in its own capacity. And then we also had a 20 millimeter cannon on the bow. And then we had 4 50 caliber machine guns in turrets so that they could operate. And then we had 4 50 caliber deck mounted machine guns. Besides small arms.
And the torpedoes.
and the 4 torpedoes which we didn't use, and then we had a depth charge on the stern, as well as a smoke bottle, so we could lay smoke in big gulps, so you can shoot a place up and then crawl in your
go hide in your smoke.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you do a lot of anti-submarine warfare? Did you go out sub hunting a lot?
No.
So you didn't use depth charges much?
No.
Okay. Did they have radar on them?
Yes.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah.
What about sonar?
No.
No sonar. Okay.
No.
So PT boat duty. How long were you captain of the Nightmare, PT 189?
8 months. The last 8 months.
What did you think of it? Did you like the duty?
Oh, it was the best.
What did you like about it?
Well, the type of people that it drew, or because I think they were pretty well. The men were pretty well picked.
Yeah. Kind of a wild spirited kind
No.
of guy?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you a funny story, though.
Tell me a funny story.
Okay.
I like stories.
I was ordered to take a Army scout with a general of the Filipino guerrillas
Okay.
to drop them off down in Mindanao, behind the city of and back in the jungle of Zamboanga
Okay.
in Mindanao. Now, 4 days later, we're going to make an invasion from the other side,
Okay.
and this is so this get rid of the Japs by putting them in a press. Just after the invasion, I put my PT boat ashore at Zamboanga,
Right.
which was supposed to have been secure, with a few shots still being going
Yeah.
through the air. And this scout came out on the little pier there where I was. And he said, "George Larson here?" And I said, "Here." Oh, got to come on! I got to take you ashore. We got General Yamamura's headquarters, and it's full of sake. We got all his sake, and so I went ashore with him, and sure enough, here was the Army, the Navy, everybody was just drinking sake like mad. There were still a few shells going through the place. But so anyway, I tin cupped about 3 of those, the quantity of sake.
Pretty potent?
And yeah, it's pretty potent at that, more than you think.
Yeah.
So I took 2 bottles back to my boat. Now, you're not supposed to do that, but we could get rid of it in a hurry. And I walked out. It was darker than hell.
Yeah.
And as I stepped on my boat, I went a couple of steps and dropped through a hatch about 7 feet down to the next deck below.
Oops.
And I kept the...
Didn't break the bottles.
Didn't break the bottles.
Crew is probably glad about that.
Yeah.
So after PT boat duty, what happened to George Larson? Did you retire? Did you go into other duty, or where'd you go?
Oh, you mean after I was out?
So you were on the PT boat for 4 years?
No. I was enlisted and trying to be get my gold grade for 2 years, and finally got it and got into PTs training.
How long were you on PTs?
Well, I was in that part a little over about a year and a half.
About a year and a half.
Yeah.
And where did you go from the PT boat duty? Did you go into training, or?
Well, to get it, that's where I went from where I made my officership.
Yeah.
went from right there, went to Melville, Rhode Island, is where the training was.
Right.
And we had votes there and everything.
Okay. So, Pearl Harbor. What lesson, we were asking this question of everybody we're talking to today, what lesson should we as the nation learn from Pearl Harbor?
Be prepared. Be a good Boy Scout.
Be prepared.
That's right.
They got the drop on us on Pearl Harbor, and we should learn our lesson and not let that happen again.
That's right.
Okay. George, thank you for all you've done for the country. Thank you for serving on the PT boat. Thank you for serving on the Nightmare and doing all you did in the Pacific to keep us free.
Okay.
And to fight for freedom.
I hope to do it again.
Okay, thank you. God bless you for all you've done.
Thank you very much.
I'll take